SJ, welcome to Mvskoke Radio, your weekly source for tribal and community news, interesting guests and discussions, plus a local events calendar.
And we also understand that communities have endured violence that, we've also endured times of war, from whether it's like the bombings there at the Black Wall Street or the Osage County murders. We understand that sometimes this difficult history, they're hard stories to tell. But we think no matter where, anybody that believes in doing the right thing, anybody that loves history there in Tulsa, I think can find something to learn from, regardless of the history not pertaining to them directly. And that's one of the biggest things that we really are excited about coming there. And
Many of the features and films that have been produced here in Oklahoma lately have had a majority native production crew and or cast. I'm thinking you mentioned Killers of the Flower Moon, and we of course are all rejoicing still over Reservation Dogs and some of the other things that have been produced here in Oklahoma. Now, we think that the Lakotas versus the United States will probably join that group of films that have been warmly received here in Oklahoma. So if you were going to encourage someone to attend, what would you tell them?
I would encourage them to attend because, again, even though this is a history from up in the Northern Plains, if you have a desire for doing what's right, you have a desire for learning about things, a different perspective on things. If you question things, if you're interested in courage, if you're interested in leadership, all of these things, universal things that we are all kind of interested in, we definitely try to appeal to that because we want to appeal to not just our people here or people within the region of the Great Plains. We do want people across the world to, see that there are other ways of doing things. There are other narratives that are embedded in some of these things that, we grew up with as far as our history. And we really put, again, we talking about hard things. We're talking about difficult subject matter. But we also are looking at making people feel good about themselves. And that's what this film, if you take nothing else, I hope it makes you feel good about yourself.
Wonderful. Now, this Lakota Nation versus United States is coming to the Circle. That's on a Thursday, June 29th. And it says here, filmmaker Q&A. Who will be coming down to discuss this film?
Yeah. So we will have myself. Do have a prior engagement, but I am working extremely hard to make sure that I get there to Tulsa. We also have Mary Catherine Nagel, who is an Oklahoma resident, who's also has family ties to the state of Oklahoma. She is a prominent voice in the film through her work as an attorney in D.C. She will be in attendance. Our impact producer is a member of the Choctaw there in Oklahoma, and we will also hopefully have my co-director and editor, Laura Tomaselli.
Okay, some peripheral information. Let's see, it's a free community screening. Is that right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay, it begins at 5:30 on the date, the 29th, and a catered reception followed by the movie at 7 p.m. with yourselves and other special guests. Now, according to this flyer, it says all admission is free with tickets available online. And since the Circle is kind of a small venue, it's really a good idea for you to go ahead and go online and RSVP some tickets there, as the seating is limited. You've got some wonderful sponsors here, people that I presume will be showing up and being able to talk with our folks. But final thoughts. What would you like to say as we wrap this up about your film, Lakota Nation versus the United States?
Just again, thank you, Gary, for everything. Really appreciate everyone listening and giving me a little bit of your time today. Really just excited to be coming to this Oklahoma and the city of Tulsa, and just overwhelmed with honor to play this film, and I hope that we can give you something to learn. And that's about it. And again, just I'm very grateful to have this opportunity and to come to Tulsa. Okay,
well, if things work out on my schedule, perhaps we'll cross trails there. Okay, we want to say Mado to Jesse Shortbull for chatting with us about his film Lakota Nation versus the United States, and we'll look forward to that premiere here in Oklahoma. So, Mado.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take a short pause here, and we're going to be back with one of my colleagues here, Mr. Jared Moore. He's going to be talking about some of the important legal issues facing the Mvskoke Nation. Please stay with us here on Mvskoke Radio, here on The Brew.
Causing huge problems in our community. Hear that? That's the sound of something you can do about it. Events like rodeo, res ball, and family time can help keep kids away from meth.
Talk to your kids. Keep our culture alive. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Learn more at ncai.org.
We're your station for the classic hits of the...
Okay, welcome back to Mvskoke Radio here on The Brew. Joining me here in the studio is my colleague and a guy who's bailed me out a few times, Jared Moore. Thanks for coming in, Jared. Appreciate it. Now, one of the things that you've done that has been a real asset to Mvskoke media is your knowledge and familiarity with the legal process, having come from a family with quite an extensive legal history. Notice how I dance around some of these. Okay, now...
well, I know a lot of lawyers, Gary.
Okay. Well,
I'll put it that way.
Okay.
But I myself am not a lawyer, so...
right, but luckily you know them as friends and not as one of their clients.
And no, I'm not a client, and I haven't been yet.
Okay, well, we wanted you to join us to talk about a couple of the things that our tribe is facing. As Native people, we're all expecting decisions coming out of the Supreme Court in D.C. and in our own tribal court.
Absolutely.
make some decisions here. So what have you got to share with us?
Well, with these legal stories, Gary, that we cover, a lot of times what happens is they'll be in court for years, and there may be little things that happen, but nothing that's worthy of a full-blown update of coverage. But basically what I'm going to do today is go through some stuff that's been out there. We've reported on it and just give everybody an update. While none of these are ground-shaking updates of any significant changes, just kind of like ongoing updates of what's happening in court with these various court cases. So starting off at the Creek Nation District Court. Former National Council Representative Travis Scott, if you remember out there in the audience, that he went through the impeachment process the year before last, and ultimately that resulted in the Mvskoke Creek Nation Supreme Court saying that his impeachment was unconstitutional. But there were criminal charges that were associated with that impeachment. He has a pretrial conference hearing scheduled for August 1st. He's been charged with felony false swearing and 4 misdemeanor charges of conflict of interest by tribal officials, and he was charged on February 11th, 2022 with those these are criminal charges. And so the trial for that should be happening at sometime in there after that date.
Okay, well, I'm going to presume there are a lot of listeners saying, well, what's a false swearing? What did he do?
I don't want to state the prosecution's case for him too much, but I think what the AG's office is saying is that when Representative Scott took his oath of office, that they're alleging that he was, when he swore to uphold the laws of the Mvskoke Creek Nation, that he was lying, is basically what that is. Because false swearing is when you take an oath before a committee or whatever, and then you don't tell the truth or whatever, if that makes sense. So I think that's what they're basing that false swearing on. There is, that is kind of that'll get heard in court, and the judge will make a determination of whether that applies in this case, because the crimes that they're saying happened 2 or 3 years before he took this oath, etc., etc. So there's some wrinkles there. The misdemeanor charges are all related to the amounts that they allege that he obtained, through the Creek Nation patronizing his hardware business that he owned.
Okay, can you recall what district he represented?
I believe it was McIntosh,
Okay.
I think. I'm not for sure on that. I'd have to go pull that information, but I think that's where his district was. The next thing on the list there is current MCN National Council Representative Joseph Hicks is scheduled to appear on July 7th for his second misdemeanor DUI charge, which was filed on February 14th. So the big wrinkle with that case is that under Oklahoma law, if you get a DUI after your first DUI, then it's automatically a felony. So a lot of citizens were asking, like, why is this one a misdemeanor? But we'll see when it goes further in the court process how the judge is going to handle that, because Representative Joseph Hicks was on probation for his first DUI offense when this second DUI offense happened. So, and again, he's scheduled to appear. I think it's not his first appearance on the DUI, but it's the next step in that. It's not his trial date or anything. It's his next court appearance is July 7th.
Do you recall whether the first offense a state crime or a tribal crime?
It was in tribal court.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the second time around is also in tribal court.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we contacted the AG's office when we saw his arrest and everything, and started a dialogue with them to try to get a comment on how was he going to be charged, with, etc. And we're still waiting to get an on the record statement from them about why these particular charges were picked because originally he was charged with a misdemeanor of reckless driving, though he was arrested on a DUI. And then we received a statement saying that he was going to be charged with the DUI, and then they filed an amended charging document that said it was a misdemeanor DUI. And so I was in communication with the AG's office to try to figure out like what's going on, and we never really did get a solid explanation of that. But all of those things will come out in the court process here, and hopefully we can pull those documents as they're filed and see what's going on. The other thing in the district court is Rhonda Grayson and Jeffrey Kennedy's suit against the MCN Citizenship Board. That was on them being denied citizenship as they filed from the Freedmen rolls. That trial concluded April 4th, so it's been 2 months without a decision in that case. Since that trial concluded, there has been one motion filed, and it's scheduled to be heard. I believe it's the 23rd of this month. It's a motion for, I believe it's the term is a censure motion. It's basically a motion that in the course of this trial there were some disagreements on how the discovery for the trial should be conducted, or that the nation didn't give Mr. Solomon Simmons, the attorney for Rhonda Grayson and Jeffrey Kennedy, the information that they had access to when he requested. So what the motion that's been filed is basically saying that there was a problem with discovery, and so the trial might need to be reheard. It's kind of a motion that you would file if you've lost the case, right? So it's weird that it's been filed before a decision has come out. But like I said, we'll know more about that case when the decision is actually filed.
Let me ask a extremely simple question. So is it a matter then of the two people, depending on the Treaty of 1866 versus tribal law current today? Is it that kind of thing? Or is it...
Yeah, and if anybody wants to, we can get into it. We might not have enough time here right now, but that's basically the contention, is that the 1866 treaty guarantees that, or this is what they're alleging, guarantees that freedmen were made citizens at that time when the treaty was signed, and also that the process of the Dawes Roll assigning freedman status or Creek status was based on the Indian agent's preference, et cetera, et cetera. There was a very good expert that they had, Mr. Solomon Simmons had, that is a legal scholar on it. She's written a few books on that topic, just basically saying that the process was set up to break up the tribe and et cetera, et cetera. So that's basically the argument, is the 1866 treaty argument, yes.
Right, okay.
In Oklahoma Supreme Court, last year, Mvskoke Creek citizen Alicia Strobel, she won a decision from a administrative law judge with the Oklahoma Tax Commission. She had filed a claim saying that she didn't have to pay income taxes for, I can't remember which years, the prior years, and she wanted to have that money given back to her. The tax commission had an administrative law judge evaluate her claim, and that law judge found that her claim was correct, right? Now, the tax commission decided that the judge didn't know what he was talking about, and they denied her claim. So there was another appeal filed to the Oklahoma Supreme Court, and normally in these instances, the Supreme Court would send that case to the Oklahoma Court of Civil Appeals, right, because it's a civil case. They didn't do that in this instance. They decided they were going to retain it, and they were going to hear it, and at that point, amicus briefs were filed by the 5 civilized tribes, all in support of Strobel, et cetera, et cetera. There's various other briefs that have been filed. And the stage that we're at right now is the Oklahoma Supreme Court hasn't decided whether they're going to hear oral arguments in this case or they're just going to issue a decision based on the briefs. There is one thing that I did want to point out about this case that I don't think is getting covered a lot in the media or when you see anything about this case, and it's kind of an important wrinkle, which is this is being framed as a post-McGirt type case where it's saying that because of McGirt, the tribal members are trying to not pay taxes. But the code in question for income tax exemption for Native members was already on the books in Oklahoma. Oklahoma's code already provided that tribal members didn't have to. I'm just going to read a quote from the Oklahoma Administrative Code already so to give the listeners an idea of what the code said before any of these cases happened. And this is a direct quote. Instances in which income is exempt. The income of an enrolled member of a federally recognized Indian tribe shall be exempt from Oklahoma individual income tax when 1. The member is living within Indian country under the jurisdiction of the tribe to which the member belongs, and the income is earned from sources within Indian country under the jurisdiction of the tribe to which the member belongs. So Ms. Strobel was an MCN citizen. She was in the employ of the Mvskoke Creek Nation National Council, and she lived on the reservation, right? So this is a tax credit. Actually, if you did your taxes through TurboTaxes or anything like that, they would say, you know, are you a Native American citizen living on Native American land working for a tribal government or a tribal entity? And you could say yes. And as somebody who in the past years before had filed for that, what the tax commission would do in that instance is they would send you a letter saying that you need to send us proof that you own, that the land that you're on is trust property, right? That's what they wanted to see. And I didn't have that, so I couldn't make the claim. But I don't know, so I don't know how far that would go after that happened. So this isn't anything new. As my point is, it's kind of being portrayed as a revolutionary thing. But the only thing that changed with McGirt is that McGirt said that the tribe's reservation had never been disestablished, and that reservation status would, by default, make it Indian country. So that case, we'll see what the Oklahoma Supreme Court decides. I'm 100% sure that it will get pushed on up the ladder. If the Oklahoma Supreme Court denies the claim, then it will go up to the Fifth Circuit or however, where they want to take it. Also, important note on this case is the Creek Nation has also filed a lawsuit on behalf of the Creek citizens for on the same issue, and I think those are all bundled together in this decision at the Oklahoma Supreme Court. So,
well, let me ask you a real simple question, and if this case were to be decided in Ms. Strobel's favor, would that set precedent for other citizens to get a tax refund, so to speak?
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm not a lawyer, as I've stated. We did have Mike Parks, Ms. Strobel's lawyer, in this case on a live wire, and that's what he said is his advice was, even before we get a decision in this case, he said, if you have a lawyer, you should go through the administrative process for the tax commission to follow the same procedures that Ms. Strobel did, because the decision for her case is going to come at some point, right? And if she wins, then those things should all be a slam dunk and you'll get your money, right? And then going forward from there on, the state will have to reevaluate how it's conducting its income tax assessments for things.
That's probably having the tax commission terrified.
Well,
oh my God, we're going to lose so much revenue.
Yeah, they have published a document that listed the amounts that they would lose if this happened. And I looked at those figures, and in my opinion, I think those figures are overblown. They're saying it's like each tribe would have 42 million or $1 billion or something in tax revenues that they would lose, but it's income tax for tribal employees who are tribal citizens on tribal land, and there's just not that many. At least at the Creek Nation, I think it's like 1,500 people. Like how are you going to get 42 million income tax from 1,500 employees? We're not paid that much. I'm not paid that much. I don't know about you, Gary.
Oh, no. First thing a journalist does is take your vow of poverty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of people that work at the Nation, though. Nation's employees aren't getting paid astronomical sums that is going to be in the millions of dollars. It's not happening. But at any rate, so those are the cases. There's also an update on the Bacone College story, and if your listeners haven't checked it out, we have a story about a accreditation complaint that's been filed against Bacone College, and we've also been covering the Bacone College had a $1 million civil judgment against them by a company that provided some work for them, and then they weren't paid. And then the property for Bacone went up for an estate sale, or a sheriff's sale, to get the compensation from that to this company so they could settle the deal after the court case. And the company, this is the company that got the judgment. They called off the sheriff's sale at the last second. We still don't know for sure if they worked out a deal to get payment or what on that. So Bacone's in some financial trouble, and then there's also some accreditation trouble that they're having now. They're going under a review. And then we've had some updates that happened since we published those stories. Bacone's been put on heightened cash monitoring by the U.S. Department of Education. Heightened cash monitoring is a procedure that's instituted by the Department of Education when colleges or universities have a number of financial or federal compliance issues. So it's basically, there's two levels of that. There's HCM1 and HCM2. They're basically monitoring how Bacone utilizes federal funds for their various programs. So they aren't on HCM2, the more severe one. They're on the lower level one. Also, in that story about the Higher Learning Commission accreditation complaint that was filed by a former Bacone employee, we mentioned that there were Clery Act violations. According to this complaint, Bacone had received Clery Act violations from the federal government with a $200,000 fine. The Clery Act is a law that requires universities and colleges to report their crime statistics back to the federal government. And they have to prepare a report every couple of years. So when we published, we were still trying to verify those fines through the Department of Education. We have since received a statement from a Department of Education spokesperson, and the statement is, quote, "As of October 2022, the fine is still pending. Fines are not reported on the public page until they are imposed," end quote. So I don't know if that's verifying the fine or not, honestly. It sounds like it is, but we're going to keep watching that story and give updates whenever we get any more information on all of that stuff.
Now, I understand you're not a lawyer, and neither am I, so that's why I ask a simple question here. So if Bacone goes bankrupt, so to speak, does that affect the degrees that they were granting to students? I mean, does their college career just come to a halt?
Right now, their last class that went through, right now their accreditation is okay. They don't have a problem. They had been previously put on accreditation probation because of another complaint, and they managed to get out of update their processes so that they could get their accreditation back. And so the last graduating class that came out this most recently, Bacone's accreditation is fine. It shouldn't affect any of their degrees or anything like that. The problem that they're going to have is going into the fall semester with all of these, that the reports that I'm receiving are that they don't have any money is basically what their problem. And they owe a lot of money to, they have a lot of debt. That's what the president of Bacone said in the interview that we have in our previous coverage. So their problem is going to be with recruitment and getting students to come in, because they've got to keep students coming into Bacone or they will definitely go out of business. So it's not looking good. But anybody familiar with Bacone also knows that this is something that happens every few years with Bacone, these types of things, and somehow they managed to get out of the trap of it. So it was interesting though this time. Went right before the sheriff sailed, the Mvskoke Creek Nation National Council issued a statement saying that because of Bacone's financial situation, we're not going to buy their campus, we're not going to bail them out or give, appropriate any money for them, because we don't know the extent to which how much money they owe and what we would be liable for, and et cetera, et cetera. They basically said, hey, we're not going to come save Bacone. There were some other tribes that donated them some money, but apparently it wasn't enough money to solve all these problems. So
it'd be interesting to kind of dig down further and find out why it occurred, if there were people responsible.
Well,
for
our
it.
previous coverage, that's kind of like what we went through. And in a nutshell, when they went on academic probation, or accreditation probation, I'm sorry, they got a new president, Ferlin Clark, who came in, and according to the employee that filed this accreditation complaint, President Clark helped develop all the policies and procedures that helped get them off probation. And then after they got off probation is when after a period of time, they removed President Ferlin Clark and they replaced him with Nikki Michael, who had already been on the staff at Bacone as the Native Studies Chair, I think was her title. It's in our previous coverage though. But so we interviewed her, and she basically lays it at Ferlin Clark's feet, saying it was his fault, and so everybody's pointing the finger at each other is what it amounts to.
Wow, what a mess. Be a real loss if the college goes under. Let's see, where are we here? We've got a few more minutes. We've been hearing a lot of speculation about what the U.S. Supreme Court is up to and about to make some decisions or finally give us an answer. I got a quick idea of what's up there in the Disneyland on the Potomac.
Well, I would say if anybody out there is interested in the various Native American court cases, there's a Navajo water rights case. There's the ICWA case that's out of Texas. June is every Thursday in June at 9 o'clock in the morning on the U.S. Supreme Court's website, or there's another blog that live blogs it called SCOTUS blog. They will have the Supreme Court for the month of June will be releasing opinions on those days. And it's the last opinion release session before they end this term. So this is when everybody's expecting those opinions to drop or they might get rolled over till like way far away, like December or something like that. So I'll be keeping an eye on that, and as soon as something drops, we'll be publishing, so you can come check our outlets. But if you really want to, if you got Thursday mornings free, you can go hop on the internet and go watch those opinions come in on all types of things.
I have to do that. Usually Thursday mornings when I recover from doing this show. So.
Yeah. Well, the ICWA case in particular is going to be very interesting, how the court handles that case and the discussion associated with the case, because basically what that case revolves around is a disagreement between what the state of Texas and the federal government, how they view Indian tribes, because the Texas attorney's case basically says it's a racial group, whereas the federal government's perspective has forever been that they're political groups, right?
I mean, there it is. You don't make treaties with races.
Exactly.
You make treaties
Yes.
with governments.
And so we'll see what the Supreme Court, how they handle that.
Okay, well, I tell you what, let's pop in these announcements real quick before we wrap up and get out of here. Why don't you lead off there?
Well, the MCN Scholarship Foundation has, and Gary, you can correct my Mvskoke if I say it wrong, Nene Letka
That's it.
Roadrunner 5K Fun Run and Walk Saturday, June 10th, 2023 at the Mvskoke Dome. That's on the Claude Cox Omniplex in Okmulgee. It begins at the 5K begins at 7:30 a.m. and the Fun Run and Walk at 8:15 a.m. There's a $35 registration cost, but you get a medal and a shirt. There's going to be water zones or water stations and a cheer zone. If you want more information about this event, you can call the Scholarship Foundation at 918-732-7754.
The biannual meeting of the Okmulgee County Community Garden Corporation's coming up. That will be taking place on Thursday, June 29th. That's at the Fairgrounds Meeting Room at 6:30. And the purpose of the meeting is to accept a report of the nomination committee, open nominations from the floor, and elect one new board member. So they're looking at new leadership there.
The Mvskoke Language Program has the 16th annual Mvskoke Language Immersion Camp. It's going to be at the Sequoia Lodge at 19808 Park 10, Hulbert, Oklahoma. That's from June 12th to the 15th. Eligibility, you have to be entering 7th grade through 12th grade, under the age of 18, enrolled Mvskoke citizenship card required, must have strong desire to learn all aspects of the Mvskoke language, and you must submit a 200-word essay noting the importance of preserving the language. The application deadline was May 12th, 2023, so if you didn't get that in there, you're not going.
Okay, that one slipped in there.
That's all right. I didn't catch that till the bottom.
Okay, of course, everyone is looking forward to the Mvskoke Nation Festival, and their schedule of events has been published and it's out there. Coming up on the 16th, the slow pitch tournament and the Indian National Finals Rodeo at the Bob Arrington Arena. And on Saturday the 17th, it really takes off with tennis tournaments, slow pitch, volleyball, horseshoes, basketball, blow darts, bow shoots, tomahawk throw. I think I'll go check that one out. And, of course, more of the rodeo. On Sunday the 18th, February, tennis tournament, slow pitch finals, cornhole. That ought to be interesting, a nice battle there. On Thursday, the 22nd, the Living Legends pageant, shall we call it, will be taking place at the Faith Church with the ever-popular stomp dance on the fairgrounds grounds, and, of course, fun fair and food vendors. There will be a shuttle available then on the 23rd for the Junior Olympics, Senior Activities Golf Tournament, fun fair and food vendors, and the HP, whatever that is, I'm not sure. Birthday, huh?
Oh, I was going to say, we haven't figured out what that
No,
is.
really,
The
it's
HP
a
birthday thing.
Birthday bull bash bull riding at the Bob Arrington Arena, the fast pitch tournament, and live entertainment.
So, and also for festival this year, I want to remind everybody, we're going to have a booth out there. We're going to have our T-shirts and our other stuff, so come check us out.
Oh, please do.
You know, we always sell a whole bunch of T-shirts, and we got some new colors and new designs this year. Also, Friday and Saturday, June 23rd and June 24th in the evening, they're going to have fireworks this year. It's something that we don't mention, but it is a free fireworks display, and it's pretty hefty. So come on out and check that out. Gary, did we hear who won the Battle of the Bands that's going to be the featured entertainment?
No,
I haven't heard that myself.
I haven't either, and we're going to have Ryan Logan on the show. I believe that we got him lined up for next week.
Awesome.
To fill us in on that, and also the entertainment. And,
also, there's going to be a tennis tournament and some other stuff that's going to be off of the I drew a blank. The Mvskoke Dome grounds there. Some stuff that, let me look through the list that maybe we haven't mentioned yet.
Okay, well, I'm glad I'm not the only one who can draw a blank.
It happens to everybody. Yeah. So, Claude Cox Omniplex, that's what I was trying to remember what it was called. I've said it so many times.
Just say Dome, I think.
Yeah, and also the Faith Church where the Living Legends is going to be held. If you don't know where Faith Church is, on 75, it's just south on Highway 75 from Glenpool. So it's that big church. It's on, if you're going north, it's on the left-hand side of the road, and if you're going south from Glenpool, it's on the right-hand side of the road. You can't miss it.
So either you can go to church or buy a car there. Somebody.
Yeah, an
RV.
Yeah, they have a huge facility there. It's really nice, too. If you haven't ever been inside, you should check it out. And also they're going to have the Fountainhead Golf Tournament this year is going to be on the Saturday of the festival. I believe it's is it the 24th? Let me look here on this schedule.
Well, we got to wrap it up here. We're out of time. So computer's telling us get out of here, so we're going to have to do that.
Sure
all right,
thing.
We'll catch y'all later on. Thanks for listening to Mvskoke Radio here on the Brew. You've been listening to Mvskoke Radio. Join us again next week for more local, tribal, and community news and updates. But